Hello, folks, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Furtime Talktime interview series, where we are interviewing multiple content creators in the world of VR, in the furry community, talking about content creation. Now, as you can see, I even have my first guest here. This over here is LunaVixi. She is an amazing streamer. I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna give her too much away, but if you want to check her out, her Twitch channel, her YouTube, or everything will be in the description. So I'm basically gonna throw the introductions over to you. Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
I'm weird. Does that help?
Okay.
I'm literally so. I do all sorts of stuff. So like, I do TikToks, I do YouTube, I do Twitch, I do all sorts of stuff. The reason why I even started doing this, actually, weirdly enough, is because before I started any kind of content creation online, I actually was doing training for my work. And a lot of people would say that, you know, when I'm doing trainings, I put a lot of jokes in there because nothing makes you remember things better than laughing at the trainer. So people said I was funny. I thought, you know what? Let's try this out. And I did a Beat Saber stream. So that's where I started. But yeah, that's why I'm a streamer, content creator, I was gonna make a bad pun, but I can't do that. It's not an influencer, it's an influencer. Ha! Oh my god, that's such a bad joke. Jesus Christ. Yeah, see, okay. This is what I do. You get me rambling and you don't have a chance to talk.
Yep,
that's who I am.
Yep, alright. So I think one of the statements will lead us into the first question. So our first question is, why did you start streaming?
Well, like I said, I was doing a lot of trainings and stuff like that. And in fact, my day job, I'm a consultant. So I talk a lot. Incidentally, after the whole COVID thing, I haven't been talking so much, but before then I would talk a lot. I would actually travel around the world. I would attend meetings, I would do trainings, I would do all sorts of different events where I was the speaker or at least a guest in there. So speaking and performing and all that in front of an audience is nothing new to me. So I figured, you know, I haven't been able to travel in a long time. I'm kind of wanting to talk with a lot of people. I'm wanting to do something like that. So I figured, you know, Twitch is fun. Twitch sounds fun. Let's try that. And here I am.
Okay, so I think we're gonna move a bit from the content side and talk a little about something more different. So my next question is, what got you into the furry fandom?
Oh, that's a question and a half. So I've been a furry since I was 14. In fact, I think I was a furry before I was even a furry, if you say it. Because I've always been the weird kid that liked foxes a lot, and I always thought I was just odd. Which, of course, I know now that I was odd. I mean, I am pretty freaking strange. Don't get me wrong. But I always liked foxes. I was always thinking, you know, it'd be really nice to just see a fox and be in the woods somewhere and, you know, not worry about things. And then when I was around 14, 15, 16, I think it was, I realized that, there's a whole thing called a furry. And this was back when most people, you know, probably watching this or even watching my streams weren't even born yet. Yes, I'm old. And I found IRC, so Internet Relay Chat. I was actually using it before then as well, but I found some furry room, and I got into conversations, incidentally, first with Americans, because I was too shy to go to the Finnish room, or the Finnish IRC room. And would you believe me if I told you that I was so shy to go into that room that it took me 15 minutes to gather enough courage to actually click join? But yeah, that's how I ended up in here, and actually, weirdly enough, now 90% of my friends are furries. I've been in this fandom for a very long time. So
Yeah,
that's where it all
speaking
started.
from experience, like, it took me a lot of courage to actually meet you guys, like, a lot of you guys, because
Yeah,
I
it's a
suffer
weird
from
kind of thing.
social anxiety. Like, I had major social anxiety, and when I didn't even, it took me a lot of courage to actually say something, like, in the chat box in different streamers, than to actually join them in the community days, which led me to do this.
Yeah. In my opinion, the furry fandom is very open and accepting. Of course, like every fandom, it has its negative side and stuff, but at this point, I am so intertwined with the fandom. I help out with the Finnish FurCon. I help out with all sorts of other things as well, that I can't actually even imagine my life without the fandom at this point. But yeah, even and you're not the only one. Like I'm an extremely outgoing person. I'm an extrovert. I mean, I am like the book definition of what an extrovert is. You know, I like the stage. I will go on the stage and I'll be, look at me, I'm here. Not in a egomaniac way. I just like attention, because I talk a lot, right? I mean, if you're a Twitch streamer, you like attention. End of story. But yeah, so even for me, it took a while to actually click that button, because I was so shy and I was so kind of concerned at what others think, and things like that. So yeah, you're not the only one.
Yeah, and none of you will ever be the only one. You'll always have doubts
No.
when you're meeting someone like either me or Luna.
Yep. And I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just a person. I'm just a weird person who likes to talk a lot.
Okay, I guess we'll move it on here. So, back to the streaming stuff.
Okay.
So my next question is, do you remember your first stream?
Vaguely. If we count streams that I did before I was a streamer, I did a CSGO stream where I believe I didn't say very many words. I had maybe 2 or 3 viewers, because they were all friends watching, right? And I still have the recording of that. In fact, we watched that recording on the, I think it was the 100th stream, or it was the 2000. No, it was the 1-year anniversary where I was showing off the streams from the past. And we watched that one. But if we don't count that one, we count the actual first stream that I count, which is when I actually started streaming. The only thing I remember from it is that we were playing Beat Saber, and I was really bad at it, and it kind of sparked something, because I didn't think that there would be anybody watching, and I think there was like 5 or 6 people. You know what? I kind of like this. Why not? Let's go with this, and it was fun. But I don't remember the exacts. I remember maybe a person or 2 from that stream, but it was a while ago.
I mean, it's safe to say I probably wasn't there then. I wasn't there then, but that must have started something.
Yeah, it did. It definitely sparked something, because it was so fun. I think what did it for me was the fact that there were people who wanted to talk and wanted to, you know, give me some song to play, and it was so interactive. And that's why all you know, the streams since then also, I tried to go with as much interaction as possible, right? It's not on VR chat, it's limited, but I like to talk with everybody. But you can interact with channel points and cards and all that. And with the games that I play, I usually pick games that you can interact with me or try to kill me. You know, Ravla do that. Because a viewer interaction for me is the most important thing. In fact, I would even argue that my community is the most important thing to me in streaming in general. The fact that the community around me has grown to the way that it is, and to what it is absolutely amazing. I love every single beam that comes there, and what and loud.
That's always an amazing, when you first stream, it sparks your, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. It sparks something that you don't know what's going to happen eventually. But sometimes it can lead to the greatest things.
And yeah, I've definitely made some friends while reading now that I absolutely wouldn't have ever made if I wouldn't have clicked that start reading button the first time. And no matter what ends up happening with this, if it ever becomes anything more than just a hobby, I've made friends. So I've got something that nobody can with.
It's great. Okay, let's move on. So, I guess we're gonna move on to the next question, and that is, what's the best piece of advice from anyone, doesn't even have to be from the furry community, what's the best piece of advice that you have been given to?
Best piece of advice I've ever been. That's a really question.
Like, it could be from, like, anyone.
I don't really know if this is from somebody specifically or if it's just somewhere that I heard. But there's been a single.
It doesn't have to be from like a person. It could be from anywhere.
There's a single kind of rule of thumb or a piece of advice that I always follow whenever I do anything, and that's basically and simply put, treat others the way you want to be treated. Some people think that's actually from the Bible, but it's not. It's actually not. It's not written there. But that's the way I generally live by. That's the way I try to go and live my life. You know, I treat others the same way as I wish, the others were to treat me.
Yeah, exactly.
And no, I don't expect the same treatment back. That's another thing as well. If you do that and you expect people to treat you back the same way as you do, then you're doing it wrong. It's not, you don't do that to expect something back. You do it to be a good person. And that's the way I live.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, like, how when others treat you the same way as you want to be treated, it can lead to some big things. And I think that's gonna lead on to one of the big questions is, what's the biggest accomplishment you made during streaming?
Well, that's gotta be what just happened today. So I have never done charity stream before. And the reason for that, in fact, is because I've always thought that my viewership and that is too small. The community and me as a streamer myself is just too small to do a charity stream without it looking like it's just an attention grab or something like that, because that's unfortunately a lot of people do that. They use it for just grabbing attention. But and that's my reasoning for not doing it before now. I even put myself a relatively reasonable goal, and then I got Gator Guts to also join me in that, and we put ourselves a reasonable goal of $500. And the fact that on the first day of the streaming week, we went above $500 within the first 45 minutes is probably the biggest accomplishment. Obviously, it's not me. It is the community in general. But I feel like the ability to help those in need, especially with the current situation in Ukraine, is my biggest accomplishment as a streamer and probably as a person, because I've never been able to help out other people as much as I've done just this week, or me and Gator, really. It's not just and we just hit $1,000 today, which is the more money that I've ever been able to help. And I'm super proud of my community, of Gator's community, and just people in general around it.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing that your community is able to do something like that to help a country that's going through a hard time. But I also think that question will lead to another question is, what's your ultimate goal of being a streamer?
I mean, it's a lofty goal, but there's also a lot of the fact is I absolutely don't like what I do for a living right now. I've had 4 burnouts so far because I've worked. In fact, the worst week I ever did was over 100 hours in a single week of just work. Like, it was nothing but work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep. And I don't enjoy what I do for a living anymore. I used to, but I've been doing it for 11 years now. My ultimate goal from streaming would be to do this as a day job. Now, I very much realize that's like everybody ever, well, not everybody, but a lot of people who start streaming get somewhere wish to do that. And I realize just how hard it is and how impossible it is actually do that. But it would be nice. If I could ever do that, that would make me really happy, and it would probably help my mental state as well quite a bit. But yeah, that is what I would love to accomplish.
Yeah, full-time streaming. I do have to say, it's a hard thing to get to, but I do hope you get there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I generally put in a lot of effort into anything I want to do, and when it's something tangible, when it's something that you can affect, the effort will actually make a huge difference. So when you're working in your career, when you're working toward something in a career or in a job or a regular job, for example, putting in a lot of hours, putting in a lot of effort and stuff usually shows almost immediate result, or it will actually at least give you the sense of you're going forward. With streaming, it's very different because you can put in a lot of effort in making your streams really nice, putting in the back end, putting in all sorts of other things in your streaming, and it never necessarily pays off because it's also something that has a lot to do with personality. Has a lot to do with other things as well. So it doesn't necessarily pay off put a lot of hours in either. So it's really hard to know whether or not you can or will become able to become a full-time streamer. I'm not exactly sure why I phrased it that way, but
So the next thing I kind of wanted to ask you about, if it's okay, is, did you notice throughout your entire streaming career, did you notice like any changes about yourself?
Yes. I have become a lot more confident in terms of talking and in terms of, well, let's just say I've lost all my modesty. I don't care anymore. So in fact, a couple of times I've had to stop myself from doing stuff in public that would embarrass other people around me because I no longer care. So when you do things, like bark at people on stream and you have an audience, whatever, 30, 40, 50 people, you stop caring what other people think when you're in public. At least I have. I don't know, that this might be an individual thing. The other thing is that I've picked up some habit on streaming because before, when I was talking to people, when I was talking towards a camera or whatever, it was always work related. It was always because I was doing a meeting with work or I had a customer, whatever. Now it's not so formal. So back in when I first started streaming, I was using my formal self, which meant I never cursed. Like, if you caught me saying the F word, that was like a once in a 100 streams kind of thing. Now there's a meter that I've had in place for like 2 weeks, and it's almost reaching 200 already because I'm kind of coming out of that shell. But unfortunately, it's also carrying over to my work. So I'm really having to restrict myself from cussing out or cussing at meetings that are work related. So yeah, there's been a couple of changes. I've lost all modesty and I've started cussing at work.
Yeah, I think people's personalities do change, not just in streaming, just being on the streams. It just, like, for me example, like being on like your streams, it just brings out a different version of me.
Well, I think there's a thing where I've always been me on streams, right? It doesn't change me when the camera is pointed toward me. It just, what it does is it amps me up to like 11. So if I'm normally a little bit more quiet, normally a little bit more reserved, when that camera starts pointing at me and I click start streaming, it goes to 11. So it just increases what I am. It increases certain traits of mine. It doesn't change who I am, but it does just, you know, make everything go a little bit higher, including the volume.
So our next question is, who's someone that you look up to, like someone to aspire to?
There's a few people like that. This is actually kind of a funny story because back when I first became a furry, I didn't really have any aspiration of greatness or anything like that. I was just like, okay, well, I know a little bit about computers, I know a little bit about this and that, I don't really know what I want to do. But then when I got into the fandom, I started seeing this guy, this doctor guy, on the, you know, that appeared all over the fandom. You may know him as Uncle Kage. And I sort of looked at him and thought, you know, this guy is a doctor. He's really, you know, he's done something with his life. And he's a furry. I can do that too. I can totally do that too. So I started looking up to him and like, you know, if he can do that, I can do that. And that's where I got my aspiration to become, you know, what I am in terms of work life. Now, obviously, I don't like what I do for a living right now anymore, but that's besides the point. Now, when it comes to, you know, streaming, and if I look up to anyone specific on terms of, you know, streaming or the fandom in general, I've got a lot of good friends that I obviously adore, Aki being one of them, and you know, we've got Sinful, we've got, you know, that, and I look up to those scenes, and I kind of, I have to say they do inspire me, but I am also a very competitive being. So I look up to them and that's a nice thing you've got on your stream there. It would be a shame if somebody were to, you know, snatch that. I've done a lot of things, like Nanook, for example, one who I've like, your host widget looks really nice. I'm gonna take that. But I mean, there are no original ideas anymore. So I just look at things. I improvise and I put my own twist on them. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool beats out there. But I have to say, Kage is probably one who really made an impact and changed the way I looked at furry in general.
So, we talked a lot about the streaming stuff, but we never talked about anything like, I don't know, that you do stuff for fun. Like, so why don't you tell some of our people something that they might not know about you? Like maybe like a personal interest or a hobby.
Do I have time to have hobbies? Is that an option? No. So. Outside of work and streaming and all that, I mean, I used to play Counter-Strike competitively, but then I took an arrow to the arm. No, I just actually got sick of the whole community, and I got sick of the whole salty. But I've been a nerd for as long as I can remember. So before, actually, way back when, I used to have servers at home. And I would do server management as a hobby. And every time I said that at work, people looked at me weird. Like, what? I still do that, but now it's in a lot smaller scale. And actually, a lot of my hobby projects involve now or revolve around the stream. Like, for example, the music player that I just recently wrote, that was an idea that I got, and I just started writing it, and now it's about 1,000 rows of script and involves a backend database, things like that. But, what else do I do? My life is really kind of sad. All I do is sit inside and then, pretend I'm not inside, which is in VR. Yeah, I did Beat Sabering for a long time as a hobby, but then I hurt my arm, so I can't do that anymore. I do anything else. I used to like cars. I don't do that anymore either, because I don't have a car. I sold my car. My life has been on hold for like the last couple of years because I've been on again, off again, moving towards the USA. And because of that, I've sold everything. I don't have my servers anymore. I don't have a car anymore. I've been trying to sell my house for the longest time. So I've kind of put myself on hold, which is why I don't have a lot of so-called hobby. I think streaming right now is one of my biggest hobbies. And it's also, yeah, if you look at it that way, streaming is my biggest hobby, and it is also the one that helps me the most in terms of, mental health, because it allows me to interact with people and gives me that contact that I don't have outside of that. So long story short, right? Yeah. I basically went a full circle, so.
Yeah, some of us do have to go through a lot to get to where we are, which, if I'm being honest, you've gone through pretty much a lot to get to where you are.
Well, I've always started from nothing, right? Back when I started my work, I actually started from a help desk. So I was answering those phones, and I was helping people. So I was in a corporate service desk, and I got fired from that job because I was overqualified, because I had trained myself, and I was starting to actually tell our second, third tier people what to do, and they didn't like that, so they told me that I was overqualified and that I should on. And then I went to do something else, and I got moved higher and higher and higher and higher until I hit where I am today. The same is kind of true with what I'm doing with streaming right now. I had, when I started streaming, I had 300 followers on Twitter, and I still only have like 600, so I'm not, super popular or anything like that. And somehow, I don't really know how this has happened. I now have 3,200 people following my weird ass. Excuse me, weird butt. You can bleep that if you want.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
On Twitch. Yeah, on Twitch. And I don't really know how that ever even happened. So it's been an interesting couple of years. An interesting year and a year on Twitch.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people like you and me are starting from scratch. So, I guess that's gonna pretty much move it on to the next question. What's the best piece of advice that you can actually give someone watching this video right now? If they want to, I don't know, go into streaming, be a YouTuber, be a TikToker, what's the best piece of advice you can give them?
That's a really good question. Because there's actually, I did a couple of YouTube videos about how to do VTubing and how to do VR tubing. And I think the best advice I can give is, if you're gonna go into it with the mentality that it's gonna be a hobby, it's gonna be something fun you're gonna do. If you go into it expecting money and fame and immediate success, you're gonna be very disappointed, and it's not gonna be fun for very long. So don't do that. I've seen so many people. In fact, I have a lot of people that come to me and say, you know, I'm doing this and this, I'm doing streaming, and I'm streaming to nobody, and nobody comes to watch me. And like, it's not for everybody. There's so many places that you can hear, you know, you just grind, and eventually it will happen. If it doesn't happen, if you keep streaming and there's nobody there, I would recommend stepping back and seeing your own stuff and seeing if it is for you. Because endlessly grinding, endlessly doing things, and it never paying off, it's just gonna it's gonna do stuff to your mental health. Not good. Not good. Just have fun, essentially. Try to have fun.
Just
do it for
have fun with whatever you're doing. If you want to do streaming, you want to make YouTube videos, go for it. But just don't expect a lot of people right out of the gate.
Yep. And I've actually, so I like number. That's one of the reasons why I'm a consultant, right? I have calculated so many times how many this and that you need in order to actually make a living out of YouTube or out of Twitch and out of that. The numbers are actually staggering. They are really large. So unless you already have a platform with viewer or with a lot of following, it's gonna take years. Not everybody. So some people can do it much quicker. Usually those people get help from others, bigger streamers, bigger YouTubers and whatnot. It's gonna take a long time to establish a kind of viewership and the kind of subscribership in YouTube, for example, actually make it into a viable income.
Okay. So you stream like a lot of VR content. So I just have a quick question about that. Has your perspective of VR changed over the past few years?
Oh my God, has it? So I never subscribed to the whole VR thing, right? I was one of those people like VR, schmear, who the hell cares? It's you know, whatever. It's this newfangled thing that's never gonna take off, like never ever. And then Rainy introduced me to Beat Saber. They streamed it on Discord once, and I'm like, you know what? That looks really fun. I gotta try that. And I got myself a Rift S, Oculus Rift S, because it was like I think it was $400. You know, this isn't that expensive. I can spend this money, and I'm gonna just try it out. So yeah, it didn't end there. So I started playing Beat Saber at like almost 2020. What year is it? 2020. At the end of 2020, right? Right at the start of all of the you know, lockdowns and whatnot. And well, I managed to break my first headset within the first 2 months. I actually rolled my chair over the cord, and I had to RMA that headset. And it took a week. First, I didn't hear anything back. Then it took another week. I didn't hear anything back. And I'm like, oh, what? I gotta get VR. I can't do this. I need Beat Saber. I need VR chat in my life. So I found somebody selling this little known brand called Pimax. And they were selling a Pimax 5K Super. And I'm like, okay, well, I've never heard of that. So I researched it a little bit, and I thought, you know what? I want that. So I bought it, and now I've been using it ever since. So I've had this headset a little bit over a year now. Actually, yeah, quite a bit over a year. So, and after that, I did more Beat Saber content, and I liked it so much that I decided, you know what, the Generation 1 beacons weren't enough, so I bought myself two version 2 beacons, or light whatever they're called, light posts,
Base
whatever,
stations.
beacons, whatever, I don't care. Base stations, thank you, it starts with a B. And then I got myself full body, because why the hell not? So yeah, I would say as being a full body, mostly VR chat streamer or VR content streamer, I would say, yeah, it has changed my perspective on VR a bit because I didn't subscribe at all before, and now I'm.
I feel like, yeah, I'm getting the sense of the feeling that a lot of people are getting interested into VR because of Beat Saber, because of the interesting fact of just you're holding lightsabers, you're hitting blocks. It just makes it so much fun that people want to get into VR, and I think all the other games expand upon it because of that one game, it being so popular that it literally sparks something within VR that makes it what it is today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you have the whole social aspect of VR chat, for example. And then you have the whole added benefit of the fact that in a furry fandom you can actually be what you want to be. And of course, I would say because being a trans woman and all, being able to be yourself in VR is something that is absolutely been therapeutic to me as well. The first time I actually had my full body tracking on, and I still remember I was sitting at the cusp of a tall building in a VR world, and I was looking down, and then I realized my paws are here and I can move them, and I actually cried. Not that it's anything unusual because I cry a lot, but it was so emotional, and it was actually it further changed my my view on VR.
So
yeah,
the next question. So, next question is, do you have anything that has special meaning to you, like a certain item, a certain person?
Yes. Actually, interestingly, I've got this little itty bitty keychain box. It's a blue fox that is on a keychain that is actually on my backpack right now, and it's always on my backpack. Actually, no, it's not blue fox. I know what I'm talking about. And it's super special to me because it was actually a fox that my daughter bought me, and she bought that to me as a gift, and is always on my backpack. It's because my backpack is wherever I am, regardless of if I'm at my friend's place or if I'm traveling, because my backpack has my laptops and stuff, so if I'm traveling, I have my backpack with me. And of course, when it comes to special persons, my daughter is the most special person. And I'm actually super happy coming over next month or 2 months. Yeah, I do have a lot of special items, and they're all tied to my daughter right now.
That's honestly, sometimes, over the past few years, I've had special items when I was a kid, but over the years I just kind of forgot about them, and when I remember them, it's just I can't believe I just lost that.
Actually, I used to have a stuffed wolf, so stuffed animal of a wolf. It was actually the first plushie I bought as an adult. It was a WWF, not the World Wrestling Federation, the other one that saves animals. And that used to be my most important plushie ever. I gave that to my daughter on the day that he moved to the US. And now I think that's one of her special. So it's actually it's funny because the wolf is 5 or 6 years older than me. And the last time I saw it was when I was in the US at the end of last year, and that thing looks so ragged. Oh my god! But she had it with her when she came to the, and it just put a smile on my face.
Okay, I think we're gonna get to the last question, and that is,
okay,
throughout your entire streaming career, I would say, throughout your entire streaming project or career, who who do you want to thank for being the most helpful to? Like, if you have like certain people like who've helped you grow, like anyone special, like special friends who've helped you along the way.
I will say there is specifically there's more people than there's enough to thank, but I would say my moderation team absolutely. But two names that come to mind immediately is Rainy Dagger. He's been there from the very beginning. He helped me out a lot. He creates these bots, like for example Boobahan, the bot that always on channel that completely created by him. He also is, he works in the background to do some of my 3D models. And if I need clothes or anything like that, he's usually my go-to guy. He goes and fixes anything. If I need new code, if I need raffle things, if I need anything that has anything to do with coding or stuff like that, he's there and he's gonna help it. He's gonna fix it, and he's gonna give me an honest opinion as well. If I say, you know what, did we do this? He's gonna tell me, no, that's a stupid idea. And then the other person I would really like to thank as well, and also would say has very, very quickly become my best friend, Gator Guts. They are absolutely an amazing person, and they've helped me a lot because I have a lot of self-doubt issues. I have a really bad imposter syndrome, where I never feel like I'm doing anything correctly. So Gator has to listen to me whine a lot, and they're also really good at telling me that I'm stupid. I should stop thinking that I'm not good enough. And they also help a lot. They've been a really good moderator. But outside of that, of course, we've got Keith Monteri, who's actually my oldest furry friend, and all the other moderator team. I cannot thank enough. I can't thank my mod team enough. They do all of this wonderful stuff, and I don't deserve any better.
Alright. And I think that is going to wrap up the first ever episode of Furtime Talktime. So if you really like this, like what you saw, and you want to see more, if you want to find out what we're doing next, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and liking this video. But I guess until then,
Do it.
thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.